Hey everyone, my name is Bryce North, founder, pitch coach, and investor strategist at Don't Be a Little Pitch. Today, I want to talk to you about how to put together the perfect pitch deck format that's going to attract any investor who reads it. Now, for those who are wondering who I am and what I do and why I'm qualified to talk about this, you can find a link down below in my description leading to my site talking about my accomplishments and how I've pitched investors around the world, raised $1 million of funds, and how I help entrepreneurs like you today do the same thing. Construct and put together their stories and their pitch decks in a compelling way that shows all your metrics and numbers that's going to attract investment and attract investors. Now, let's dive right into why I think this is one of the most important things for entrepreneurs is how to construct and put together their pitch deck. Because honestly, it's done wrong majority of the time. Now, what we see out there is a lot of information about how to put together your pitch deck, and the internet is cluttered with all this stuff. But what I find though is the people teaching this and showing this have not actually gone out there and raised these funds or pitched to investors. So I personally went out there and trialed and tested and put everything I've learned together in entering pitch competitions and talking to investors. I also interviewed investor after investor and startup after startup to find out exactly what works and what doesn't. So I'm going to break that down here for you today and show you exactly the perfect format that you want to put your pitch deck into so you can attract investors out there and have them chase you so you're not always chasing them. So let's dive right in. Now, first things first, traction is absolutely everything. An investment is the next step after having first done something interesting on your own. So investors are not here to give you permission to start any idea or put together any sort of team. Your goal out there is to go out there and prove that there's product market fit and prove that there is a business, and then come back and show how you've accomplished this and how you've actually proven it. So like I mentioned before, the idea is for you to stop chasing investors and have them start chasing you. And the way to do that is start gaining traction that attracts them. All right? So the number one thing we want to focus on is that traction, and the second thing is how we're actually going to get that through our metrics. So we're going to go into a bit more how to show that. Now, one more and one last thing before we get into this perfect pitch deck format. No one's going to steal your idea, and I feel like this is a big issue for a lot of new entrepreneurs or even ones who've been working on their idea for a little while, is that they're scared of telling anyone because they're a little terrified that either a large corporation or partner is just going to incorporate their idea into their business. If they tell an angel investor or a VC, they're just going to find someone smarter and better to do it. Or if they tell entrepreneurs, they're just going to go and take it and run. I'll tell you right now that if you're the one to come up with this idea, then you're the best and most qualified to make this happen here. Investors, angels, VCs do not have time to go out there and start implementing and trialing new ideas. It's more risky for them to actually trial an idea instead of acquiring a company that's doing well. Why are they going to waste their money when they want you to waste your money and your time? Other entrepreneurs, really, when we think and hear someone pitching, we internally process that, wow, this person's been working on this and thinking about this for a long time. And, why do we want to compete? And a lot of us do want to help out. In corporations, their job is to find solutions to bring into their company and bring into their ecosystem that makes it a lot easier for them to get their processes done. So a lot of them don't want to steal, and a lot of them do want to acquire or do want to license. So let's talk about our pitch deck, and let's talk about the two big questions we should be asking ourselves when it comes down to our pitch deck. What problem are you solving, and what solution do you offer? Now, this sounds quite simple, but majority of us come up with a solution and try to find a problem that works with that, and that doesn't really work. The best way to do your problem identification is to go through your customer journey and as well as your customer interviews. Talk to your customers without pinpointing what your solution is and really dive deep into their everyday life when it comes down to the scenario. So if you're doing a rideshare app, something like Uber out there or Lyft, before they would start, they should probably ask the consumer, tell me about your average day of getting to work. What's your biggest problem of commuting, right? What happens when you get there? What happens when you leave? We're not giving them a solution. We're really identifying that problem. Now that we have these two questions, we really need to take a reality check on what the investor is actually looking for. Because what we pitch all the time when we pitch in our pitch competitions or when we meet investors, we pitch our problem, the need, the solution, the market size, we pitch our competition, financials, etc., etc. But what the investor actually is looking for is that, is there money to be made? Are these the right people in order to grow and scale this company? And how much money can we make? These are the three things they're looking for. So you need to construct your story and your pitch in a format that covers every single one of these. We're not here to pitch our product. We're here to pitch our business. Majority of time, investors will not invest in companies who just have ideas. The goal here is to build a business. So, an investor will invest only if the team is right, plus the total market size is big enough to grow in. Is your team the right team to make this happen? Do you have the right skill set? And do you show that in your deck? And is the market big enough to grow in? Have you found enough traction in order to prove that there's product market fit? Have you found a workable and repeatable business model and formula? I put in $1, I get out $3. Have you proven that? And is there a working solution that more money will generate more of that and therefore increase your growth, because you can just plug into that machine? Like I said, investors invest in businesses. They don't invest in just ideas. So let's go into the type of pitches and how to use them and where to use them, because a lot of us here, there's your elevator pitch, you got your 2-minute, your 5-minute, your 20-minute. When I'm talking to an investor, they say they only want 5 slides, 10 slides. We're going to cover all that, so you don't have to worry, okay? So let's take a look right now at the main types of pitches. There's your verbal pitch, which consists of your high concept and your elevator pitch. And then there's your pitch deck. It's a presentation deck, or the deck you send in an email. Your presentation would be a pitch in front of an audience, like a competition or a panel of judges, or even an investor group. And then your email is, after you meet somebody, hey, I want to hear more. I want to see your deck, and I want it in this format. Usually investors don't really specify. Some do specify the format they want it in. So this get you prepared for any curveball presentation format an investor throws your way. So when it comes down to your verbal pitch, these consist of your high concept, which is your 140 character pitch. Used to be called your Twitter pitch when Twitter was confined to 140 characters. But really, this is 2 sentences in order to summarize your business really quickly, and it's used every day and it's very high level. Usually an analogy is used for this here, such as we are the Uber for, we are the Airbnb for, etc., etc. And then we have your elevator pitch, and this is to drive interest. It's less than a minute, 60 seconds. You can use it to anyone, and it's clear and concise. Ideally, when you tell someone, hey, we are the Uber for dogs, for instance, and they say, wow, I'm interested, I want to hear more. That's when you go into your elevator pitch, and we make it more about your growth. And this is, again, to excite someone so that they get a little more interested and ask for a formal presentation, which we move into the deck side then. You've got your presentation and email, which I just explained previously here. Now, your presentation is 3 to 10 minutes, whatever format you're asked to do in. Sometimes, all the way up to 20 minutes, but usually 10 minutes is a good minute mark. It's to excite, it's live, and it's structured. You practice this, it's formatted, you know exactly what you're talking about, and we open up to questions later on. And then usually after that, there's a lot more interest. They want to see a lot more data, and it's a little more data intensive. We get into the email deck. And again, that's to really dive deep into your financials, your competitive structure, your team, and your growth and marketing strategies. So let's take a look at that pitch progression, because I went through that quite quickly, but this is how it works. A high concept pitch is to get someone's attention. An elevator pitch is to convince investors to want to read your deck. Hey, we're the so-and-so for so. Oh, great. Wow. Can I hear a bit more? Absolutely. Here's my elevator pitch. Okay, this sounds like something I'd be interested in. Can we have a meeting? And then that's when you give your presentation. And then if they want more information, you can send an email deck. But usually after that, it leads to a funding decision. And so that's your pitch progression. Now, your formal pitch deck, and this format here, it's based off of Guy Kawasaki and his format, but this is proven. This is proven to work for myself, the companies I consult, and a lot of other entrepreneurs that I've seen pitch competitions and win over investors. This tells your story perfect, more perfect than any other format I've seen. When you are telling your story within your company or pitch, it must go in waves. Right? Just like open-end loops of Hollywood movies where we come up with a problem and it's not just solved yet, right? And before it's solved, there's another problem that comes in and that's solved right over here, and then et cetera, et cetera. The idea is that we want to open up an engagement, get them excited, and before the engagement dips down and we get that phone of death where an investor stops paying attention, we're going to raise and bring up some more interest information. So we go through peaks, right? So we go through interest peaks where people and investors want to hear more and more and they're engaged and they're open. And this format, I believe, tells that perfectly. You have your beginning, you have your middle, and you have your end when it comes down to a story. Just like every single major Hollywood film out there, and the way you're going to pitch your company and your presentation is going to be the same thing. We're going to go through those waves and we're going to show you how to do that.